Hey everybody, welcome to Pale in Comparison, a proud member of the Doof Network. In this podcast, my sister uses her knowledge of the Otherverse to take a look at Pact, Wildbow's least chill work, and I try to not give away any spoilers. I'm Jenny, and Malia convinced me to read Worm.
I'm Malia, and Jenny convinced me to read everything else. This episode, we are covering Judgment, chapters 16.4 and 16.5. Before we get into that, however, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning. This podcast is filled with pale spoilers. If you don't know whether the Kenneteers go through the Crucible and don't want us to tell you, stop now, read Pale, and come back to this podcast. As for Pact, there'll be full spoilers to the chapters we are covering.
Yay!
Woo!
Oh
We're
my
back.
goodness freaking gracious. That was a long
That's a long time.
That was a long time. I'm like, I feel like I don't know how to talk on a microphone anymore.
You know,
which is rough in a podcast. But
yeah, sorry for the unanticipated break, y'all. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, my life, it's my fault. It's my fault.
I mean, that's not exactly true, but sure.
I mean, it's not like on purpose, but like, you know, it's just been like a mess.
Yes.
Like, I couldn't go to like I wasn't in my house for like a month, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of crap, but I'm in my house again. Things seem like they're a little bit chiller.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more stable, knock on wood.
Yes. So hopefully we can get through the last arc of the story and then maybe poke or something.
Hot damn. I freaking hope so. Well, we can do it. It's gonna get done. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be fucking great. And I'm pumped. I'm super pumped. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I do want to address Ruben and Elliot. I'm assuming you're listening. I just want to tell you that we gave you guys a really good head start. But like, it's fucking on. Okay. It's a race to the finish.
Yep.
To the end of the podcast.
Yep.
So we'll see.
This is something y'all have total control over.
And I mean, I realized that like you probably didn't realize we were in a race because like we never mentioned it. And I mean, I never actually mentioned it to Malia, but I've always thought of it as a race.
Yep.
And we were winning.
How podcasts work.
Yeah. And like, to be fair, I was like, we're definitely going to win. So I better like, I'm acting like it's because of my life, but really, I just wanted to give you guys like.
Really, it's all about the drama.
It's about the drama. Yeah. Got to make it a little spicy.
Yeah.
And spiciness achieved. And so now we get to actually see like who ends first. And I know that, anyone of you who are thinking that like this is just something made up in my head.
This was the plan all along.
This is the plan. And obviously, you don't podcast. Okay. This is like what all podcasts do. They just don't always say it. But like, that's what you learn when you first start a podcast. You're like, okay, you obviously need someone to like
race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there's just a little podcast trivia for you right there. You're
Indeed.
Welcome.
Speaking of Ruben and Elliot, sort of, we are excited to announce the next edition of our fan art contest.
Yay!
Woo! We're teaming up. Pale Complexions is back.
And similar to like what I was talking about with like winning the race, we're gonna have the theme of closure.
Closure.
This
is what I want. Okay. The winner, guaranteed, will be the person who draws the group therapy session, the support group for Boogeymen. It's got to have Blake. It's got to have Killwagon. It's got to have Green Eyes. I want the guy with the chains and the Duchamp. I want the milkmaid. And I really insist on Kira Lynn. And that's what I want.
Yeah. Fuck creativity. Y'all thought that you were going to do something that you want to do. You're going to follow Malia.
You can be creative in enacting my vision.
I mean, Malia, you probably could like, just hire someone to make that.
That's what this
is. I mean, because it kind of sounds like, okay, you know what?
That's what this is.
It's fine. Well, I mean, that is a pretty cool idea. Unfortunately, Malia and I both lack the artistic talent to actually make it. But Maybe someone else can. Maybe you could come up with something even cooler.
Totally.
But yeah.
Submissions are going to be due September 8th, which is a Friday. You send those into fanart@doofmedia.com. We're going to have a post. It's going to be on our website. It's all going to be great.
It's going to be great.
The winner gets money. And I don't actually decide the winner. Our lovely patrons do that. So
that's right. Malia just likes to dream big.
Yeah.
But, whoever does that will win Malia's heart, which is what really matters. Besides
so
Ben.
thrilled. Right. Ben's also there.
Ben's also there, but that's different, Okay, this is actually the shortest chapter summary I've done in a long time, if ever. So I guess I'm sorry or you're welcome. I don't know. But I feel like it's a pretty good summary.
Yeah.
It says exactly what happens. So we'll get started. Miss Lewis offers an enticing deal that is surprisingly rejected. Everyone comes up with a plan, and Evans fulfills his destiny. And there's basically a rager with screaming and drunkenness, and the dream team runs off to face Barbie Hannes. Malia decided on Barbie Hannes, which I feel like I support that. So Malia, what did you think of these chapters?
They were fun, sort of. I mean, you got the action, you got the demon lore, you got the dream team squad assemble, which I love. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's really we're gearing up for the last hurrah of this story, reaching back and pulling things from the whole length of the story and running off with most of our favorite characters into the night. Very exciting.
That's pretty damn exciting. That's awesome. All right. Well, we'll start with Miss Lewis offering an enticing deal that is really shockingly rejected.
Miss Lewis walks in and she's like, okay, great, yeah, so whoever doesn't want to fight, that's fine. Just don't. And then Rose is like, actually, fuck you. And she's like, why am I here then? Why did you invite me to this church? Okay.
Which I guess kind of fair.
Yeah. But Rose is like, so I could say fuck you to your face. Great. And yeah, this is again, Webbo's really good at pulling things from the beginning and middle of the story and having them reappear at the end, as we are seeing in Pale. And this is a fun example. We talked about last time, Rose standing at the head of the church addressing everyone, just like Blake did in Arc 2. She thinks about that. She thinks about what Blake would do in this situation and whether or not it would be a good thing or a bad thing. She thinks about, their various strengths, and weaknesses. And thinks about how, Blake was very direct and was kind of like, yeah, I promise peace to make everyone fight each other. And that's what Miss Lewis does here, which is interesting. But luckily Rose has, appealed to these people's it's not sense of preservation necessarily. It's like a pride rallying cry, do the right thing, maybe we won't all die sort of sentiment. But yeah, so she's just like, well, fine, then none of you get sanctuary, and she leaves, which is fun. Thanks, Miss Lewis.
Thanks, Miss Lewis.
Yeah.
It's great.
But yeah, so then Rose is kind of like, okay, I guess we're doing this, and starts assembling her team, which is fun. It's very the practice. She's trying to have it be balanced. She's like, okay, we need one person from all of the contingents here. She makes sure that there's not, all women and Evan. There's also Peter. But the families, Toronto, the innocents, others, are all kind of present, but it's the balance between if there are too many of us, we won't be able to slip away as easily, but also we need enough people to help. And it's just fun, I don't know, it's really hype. But yeah. It's amazing that she just says Evan, and Evan's like, yes, immediately ready. It feels very Blake. and Evan in a way that was nice.
Mhm.
I think Evan was, I don't know if hype about Rose is necessarily like the way to phrase it, but you know, he was very much like on Rose's side and supporting her.
Yeah.
Um before Blake came back, and like I don't know if this is a foreshadowing of their Blake and Rose fusing more, because it just felt very much like a like badass Blake squad moment. Um but yeah, the squad. So we got Mags because she's the ambassador and she knows about Johannes' domain. We got Evan because of course. We got Ainsley, not Alistair, because Alistair could maybe actually help protect these people from demons. So we got
Yeah.
Ainsley, which is great. Hopefully Alistair won't die off screen. I love him. We got Lola, which was such a great moment. Sandra's like, I guess I can help you kind of get away. You're probably gonna die. And like it's nice that enough of her family kind of rallies to her to be like, yeah, okay. Like it seems like everyone kind of goes. And then they were like, except one. And I was expecting it to be Penny because Penny like spit in her aunt's face, but it's Lola. And she's just sort of like, I don't know. She's just like Lola was the one in the bathroom with Mags. Well, Maggie. Which is interesting back in the beginning.
Yeah.
And well, not beginning, arc 8. And then she was the one with Blake. You know, her mom was spared. And so she suggested some names for Blake's hit list and really like got to hear all about the horrible people that various women in her family had been paired off with, and I think that really like shook her.
Yeah.
But also she's like, it's not this like a betrayal of her family. She's like trying to like fight for the town and stuff, but she also didn't go over to be like, cool, I will help you. And maybe it's not I won't help you, but like I will act more actively help. But yeah. And then we got Paige because Isadora tells her to, and I think it's kind of interesting that she just is like, okay, that's all of Toronto, check, because she's probably the newest person in the Toronto contingent. I think she's probably newer than Emily. Barely,
Mhm.
maybe. And there's so many different factions within Toronto. It's funny to just sort of be like, okay. And she's also a Thorburn, like she's also very connected to this, and it works and it makes sense. And I'm really excited to see Paige in action, but I just thought that was kind of funny. And then we get Peter because talk shit, get hit or something. Like he decides
Pretty
to.
much like, uh, that's called instant karma, bitch.
He's like, I'm gonna take this moment to make jokes about Rose being a lesbian, and Paige immediately gets super offended by the implication because they're related. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, fair. On the other hand, I don't know that he was like. I mean, he was probably trying to needle Paige because, of course, he was. But, it's great that Rose is like, you know, that's a really good point. I'm striving for balance, and so you're gonna. So Peter is both the staff, which is a creepy way to say it, and
Yep.
the innocent. We need that innocent representation. So thanks, Peter. I'm sure you will help. But we get another like super cute Peter and Ainsley moment because she is sort of like, come on, don't argue. And he's immediately like, okay. And it's so cute. Um and then last but not least, Blake is like, bring my girlfriend. um which is fun, very hype. Sweet that Blake finally doesn't forget Green Eyes, like finally doesn't leave her behind. Finally make sure she comes with. And then Rose is like, oh, she definitely knows that Blake is like agreed to die so that I can live, and that's gonna be a problem. And I don't know if Blake is doing this on purpose. Which is fun. It feels like that's kind of like the demon thing, the
Yeah.
Barbatorum nature making her think that.
Mm.
Because like he agreed, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again, I guess. But
Seeing Barbatorum again.
no. But yeah, I miss Blake.
Yeah.
But yeah, he and like we have an other, you know, we have Evan, but I feel like two others can't hurt. And it's interesting that Blake explicitly wants or seems to argue for a boogeyman to be represented. The abyss isn't always about destruction and ruin. Like the abyss is about change. Which is what humanity is arguably about. And again,
Mhm.
that feels really important.
Mhm.
Um, and like also really upsetting. Uh but yeah. Yeah. And then Rose remembers she has feelings again because she sees Ty and she's like, "Oh, he's not dead." And that makes me happy? Weird. um and it occurred to me when I was writing these notes that she doesn't like Ty's very injured, so he's not going to come, but she doesn't find Tiff. I don't remember if Tiff is mentioned other than when she tells Evan to not ask to be turned into a fire sparrow. Um and I'm not sure what the significance of that is. It seems like Tiff might be useful, but maybe she didn't want too many. I mean, there's already 3 Thorburns going. One more, and then Evan, and then Green Eyes. I don't know how she counts, but one more person might have skewed it too much. But
Yeah, maybe. Well, next they come up with a plan, and Evan gets to fulfill his destiny, his dream,
oh my god,
his purpose.
this is really hype. Yeah. So elder sister's like, so I guess we're doing this or something. Like, what are we doing? And Rose, thinks, okay, we don't. It's not just that we need to defend this place. Like, we need to get through. Like, we need a path. And Evan is like, I have an idea. And it's fun because Rose and Tim are immediately like, no, because that's kind of the fun beat of this
Yes.
gag. But
Yes.
Lola is immediately like, hey, fuck you. Like, he
Right.
has an idea. If no one else has like, he's deserves to
He's
talk just as much
valid.
of any of us. Right. Like, Evan is good and valid. And his yeah, like, he's gonna be fighting just as much as any of us, but also he's here just as much as any of us.
Exactly.
And it's so good, and I love Lola Duchamp, and Evan does too. And, he's like, "You're an elementalist, elder sister, like, turn me into a fire sparrow, it's gonna be great." And she's like, "Well, the spirits
Like,
will leak
well?
out of you, but okay." So, God, it's so great.
So good. So good.
Yeah, so they make this happen. Uh and like the eye is helping to fuel this and Diana helps somehow and suddenly there's Firebird with like deep man voice. But still Evan, right? Still fun. And
Mhm.
he rains fire on the demons and the Diabolus outside and fucks them up and it's really great. He turns into a big bird.
Big firebird.
Big bird. And it's awesome. And so, Evan's out there, the Sphinx jumps out, the Briar Girl and her familiar comes out, you know, Rose comes out, we're like, cool, let's go, let's fight these people.
I wonder, okay, don't ask Ben this because
Great.
I bet like there's gonna be too long of an explanation. I mean, you can ask Ben, but just not right now because it's late. But I wonder, like, uh, out of like existing birds, what is like the bird most suited for being a firebird?
To be lit on fire.
I mean, not literally lit on fire, but like survive, you know? Yeah, to be like a firebird.
Well, Evan is described as the size of a dog. Um,
I mean, are you thinking that
what?
the bird would grow?
No, I just like. Are you trying to say like? What are you trying to say?
No, I'm just trying to think like out of all the birds, like which one would be most suited as a firebird? I mean, I wouldn't say a penguin. It probably is the least suited,
Okay.
right? What about a flamingo? Probably not.
Well,
I
they're
don't
like
know.
pink.
Maybe.
I don't know. I
Stork?
mean, they do
I mean,
live in water, sort of.
yeah, which maybe that's good, maybe not. I don't know. It depends on.
Like birds that live in hot weather. Maybe like a cactus wren or a um.
But it's like, do they want to be that hot? Maybe like getting the water will help, their equilibrium. What about a fire duck?
That sounds cool.
I actually kind of see because they're like they're what is it? Like basically I can't think of the word, water repellent because of all like the oils and stuff, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like ready to be on fire. Except they wouldn't be as like water repellent. I'm sure there's a more intelligent answer that I'm giving. But
I'm wondering what phoenixes look like
yeah,
theoretically. Like, are they like hawks or falcons or eagles or
I know. I'm like, obviously
herons
Phoenix is the
or
answer, but they're fake. Or they don't exist. So talking about a real live firebird. What a mina bird.
oh,
No.
that's cute.
It's adorable, but no. A nene. Oh, jeez, no.
They do live on volcanoes.
That's oh my gosh, maybe it's a nene.
Maybe it's the nene.
Maybe it's like Pele's bird, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's the nene. It's answered.
Cool.
That's okay, it's settled. Well, I didn't expect to get an answer out of this, I'm not gonna lie, but we just did.
Nene.
So the nene. The nene firebird. It's amazing. Okay.
Uh,
All right. I don't remember if you had anything else to say on this part. Okay, great. So we go to a super sweet rager, which like isn't that sweet to like be a part of, to be frank. There's a lot of screaming and the people get really fucked up and drunk.
yep. This is really fun in terms of like the writing. At the start of 16.5, we get Rose's perspective, but like it's like Rose, like I guess like insane Rose, kind of like she's like detached from reality, and the way that's described is so cool, and the way like Blake is described, like I feel like it's something like a piece of myself and I work to do this or something, and you're like, oh, it's it's Blake. Like it's just really cool, like the way he talks about it and the way you really feel it. And I felt, especially listening to the audiobook of this part, uh helped it really flow and make a lot of sense in like a really cool way.
Oh,
um
that's cool.
yeah. But this sounded horrifying. Right, we watch a broken portion of myself and I, like, so cool. But so she's interpreting there being clotted blood covering everything,
Yuck.
because she slips at one point because she's standing on, like ice and snow. Um, and just like everything is like fucked up, and like the gunshots, which she describes as being like super loud and like tearing at her, are like a relief.
Mhm.
Um,
Which
because
like
it's like not, yeah, like not this scream. And basically everyone is fucked, right? Like everyone is like falling on the ground, like
everyone's
dying,
like, at least mostly everyone.
right? It says it's kind of, I don't know if impressive is the right word. It's interesting that Rose has not collapsed. She's obviously not doing well, but I don't think.
She could be worse. Not a lot worse, but she could be worse.
Right. Um, and then Blake helps. She asks and he obliges. And Blake's just so fucking cool. Like he not only handles this, but he also manages to filter things. Like it's not just, he's not an opaque screen.
Mhm.
He manages to let things through, uh, which is so freaking cool. But with Blake taking over more, she notices that there are branches and birds emerging as patterns on her wrists, which is fun. Maybe points in the direction of them fusing into a person later.
It's pretty wild stuff.
um,
Hey, Malia.
hmm,
Sorry, this is random, and I know you don't want to see this,
mm,
and you can cut this out, which means you probably won't.
mhm.
But you're talking about blood clotting.
Oh no.
You want to see a picture of some DVT we got out of somebody? Deep vein
Somewhat.
thrombosis and deep ass blood clot.
Okay.
You don't sound convinced. You don't have to look if you don't want to, but it's pretty
Uh,
cool. Like, we got it's like I don't
I
know.
mean, I can sometimes handle things.
Okay, should I send that to you on Discord?
Sure.
She sounds so excited, guys. She sounds super pumped for this. Um, look, it's just like I get excited about stuff. Some reason it's deciding to like take about 5 years to log on to Discord. So, let me
mean, you could text it to me.
You're such a nice sister. You're like, oh gosh, she really wants to show me this crap. Just, but much nicer than that. That seems to work better. Oh, it just went through on Discord too. Ha! At least it says it did.
Ew, ah! That's what
Okay.
I expected. I didn't expect a towel, and I didn't expect stuff on it. Although I have watched those like videos where they like pull all the wax out of someone's ear, and it's like that, except a lot more and like red.
Hilarious, like comparison. Okay, so but
That's what
it's
it looks
like,
like.
I guess I've never seen those videos, but like, so they put like, well, there's a couple ways that they can do it, but like, one of the ways that they used to do it is like they don't. Well, I don't know. They like get almost this mesh thing and like pull out a bunch of clot that way, and they have to kind of like shake it and get the clot out. But they're having another way, which is like a syringe attached to a filter, and like you suck out the blood, it gets the clot, and then you can put the like unclotted blood back into the body so that it is less like blood loss, which is really cool. Um,
Cool.
but like if you look at that picture, which I know you don't want to, but you can actually tell like some of it is chronic clot and some of it is like not. And like the
Like
more
the
light
darker
colored,
stuff?
the darker stuff's the lighter colored stuff's the more chronic stuff.
Oh, weird.
Mhm.
Why?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
less. I'm not sure. Yeah, I honestly don't know, but I just know that I've been told that that looks chronic. Um,
Huh.
if I thought about it for a while, maybe I could come up with an answer, but I'm not sure. But, yeah, it's pretty sweet, and sometimes we get some really big ones it's like, I don't know. Those are pretty good size. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm sorry slash you're welcome. Mostly sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, you can't yeah, I'm like, "Don't lie, don't be like, that was great." But it's fine. It's acceptable, you know?
That's fun, like, adding to this chapter, I guess.
Well, I expect, like I mean, other clots and stuff like that, uh, are gonna usually just, like, pretty dark. Yeah, like, darker and just, like,
Clumpy.
yeah. It'll probably be, like, more congealed, like, more, like, grouped together than those because there's, like
Mm.
yeah. But, yeah, like, blood doesn't take that long to clot. Well, it depends on,
I mean,
like
that's useful, I
yeah.
guess.
It depends yeah, it depends on, like, your liver function or if you're having, like, taking blood thinners or certain things like that. But yeah, generally doesn't take that long.
Huh.
Anyway. Yeah, it was a really disgusting imagery, which was great. Like congealed, like
It's real
uh
gross. Yeah.
rotting, clotting. It's just like, well, that's disgusting. But
Yeah.
you know, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like I bet it smells like a GI bleed just because it would. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry. Just
Uh,
tell me to stop talking. This is what happens, you know?
uh-huh.
Okay, Malia, it's all right. You keep on talking about the actual book.
Right. No, well, I'm thinking of well, okay, so yeah, so the people who aren't uh writhing on the ground and whatever um are Eva, the Briar girl, Roxanne, and Jeremy. And we soon learn that the Briar girl is pulling a Rose and soon must pull a Blake because her familiar decides that he's not putting up with this bullshit anymore. Um and
Fair.
we get a fun thing about like Jeremy's god is like a god of madness and a drunkenness and like all these things. So like okay, maybe he's got some resistance, some tolerance. But why Eva and Roxanne? It's immediately like, oh, because they are not okay.
Because they're straight up jacked.
They are the least okay people here. It's funny that I mean, we know that Eva is a little bit off. And we get the reminder that Blake saw Roxanne like pocketing knives and all that shit. Like,
Yeah.
and she's 12. I didn't know she was this not okay, but I'm sure the abyss didn't help. So
Oh, hell no.
it's interesting that Ellie is said to be doing a little bit better than Peter. Um,
Hmm.
but just the way that all the Thorburns are functioning or like doing slightly better, is
Yeah.
fun.
It's yeah. It's like, well, I guess you're welcome for the traumatic childhood. You're welcome from the abyss to traumatize the crap out of you so you could
Mhm.
deal with this. Ugh.
But yeah, so once Blake takes over and Rose is able to, function, Eva's like, "What the fuck? What do we do?" Because she's shooting the demon and it's not doing much of anything. Um, and we get that fun mantra of the choir of darkness is the worst choir to deal with because blah 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 blah. The choir of chaos is the worst choir to deal with because blah 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 blah. Like, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's so fun. Another instance where I was bummed that we stopped after 2 or 3. But also
Yeah.
it'd be weird if Rose sat there and thought through all of them. She has shit to do. Um and we do think about symbols. And so she yells at Eva to get a symbol and not sure if Eva hears. Um and I mean this, Eva eventually comes out and she has a cross and that is what takes this demon down. But it reminded me of how Roxanne hadn't thought to look for a cross or rosary on Eva's stuff before. Like, it seems like I'm not sure that Eva necessarily takes much stock in these sorts of things, but she knows how, she understands that they're powerful. It's the practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and especially in this part, like Roxanne and Eva have really been paralleled in this story. And that kind of felt like an interesting throwback.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Briargrove's familiars trying to fight, Eva's trying to fight. Rose is doing okay because of Blake. Alistair is not doing okay. Oh, the eye, I think, is like fine. Um, I wonder, like, we got a little bit into the eye's psyche. I wonder if part of it is that he's not human. Like, elementals are just so other.
Mhm.
That I wonder if that helps at all.
Yeah.
The Briar Girl's familiar is obviously super affected by this, though. So yeah. Um, but yeah, so Rose decides, she can't leave Alistair. She's trying to help him. She's not strong enough. She thinks about how she's been infected by Blake's mule-headedness, which is fun because you've been infected by Blake in a lot of ways. um, Also, you care about people. I feel like Rose of when did she get the compassion juice? Um, so Rose of 2 hours ago probably still wouldn't have wanted to leave Alistair behind. But I think she feels a lot more than she did. Um, but while she's panicking, she realizes that you know she's like, I can't go back in time and make all these people more fucked up than they already are. Which good, like good.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Oh, like, I'll just make them more like Jeremy. Like, let's get fucked up." And this is also like kind of a fun throwback to arc 11, 10,
Mhm.
11, whenever that was, when Jeremy dropped the wine bomb on their house, the Jaeger bomb, I think it was
Yeah.
called. Um, so he does it again. And the only thing that Jeremy has left to give to his god is his domain. So he does that.
Mhm.
Um,
Which,
just like poor fucking Jeremy. Like, Jeremy loves his ex-wife, and that's why Jeremy's here. And I guess they're still married, but like,
I mean, for all intents and purposes, pretty much.
yeah, and it's just, and he even invokes Sandra and what he did to her and what he did to her family, being like, yeah, you hate my wife. I fucked up her life, and now I will, like, also sacrifice the only thing I have left, basically. And I just hope that something moderately okay comes from this because it's so upsetting. Because he
I mean,
promises to let it go to shit, but also to keep tending it.
yeah. It's like, it also is like better than getting eaten by demons,
Yeah, I think he recognizes that. But it feels like
It does suck for him.
he shouldn't have to be here. Like, I don't think anyone else from Toronto has given nearly as much, as had to like sacrifice nearly as much. And Jeremy has been here, for the past 2 days or whatever, fighting this lordship contest, and the others didn't show up. But like, Jeremy goes from, I want to get back to Toronto so I can maybe try to become lord, to losing everything. And that makes me sad. I like But yeah, Eva comes out and does like really cool badass like Constantine shit or something. I haven't actually seen that movie, but like, she jabs a wooden cross into the thing's chest and holds it with her foot and shoots it in the face a bunch,
Yeah.
and it's so fucking cool.
She's just like ridiculous.
She's so fucking cool. Rose comes in, Eva like stumbles a bit and Rose like yells at the demon to stop, which works for a millisecond. Um and they fuck it up.
Fuck it up.
And Jeremy does the thing and people sort of start to rouse and Alistair might lose his other hand to frostbite and everything's great.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. I'm like,
Ugh, my man needs to be able to shuffle his cards.
it does. I don't know. It's like, okay, so obviously, yeah, Jeremy gets everyone fucked up, which is great. I'm wondering, like, they were pretty fucking functional, like for drunk people. So, how drunk did he get them? Like
That's interesting.
just enough for like a couple shots,
A little buzz.
and because I'm like, is that enough to like help you from going insane, or do you have to be like really fucking drunk? And then, in which case, I'm fucking impressed by how well they
Right.
can
The only
function.
person that seems to exhibit much of a sign of it is Evan.
And then there's another question in that, which is like, did he make them all the same level of drunkenness? Or did he give them
Mm.
the equivalent of the same amount of drink? Because then that would make sense why Evan's so fucked.
Well, he's like a big man bird now, so
But
he's
still, but like, it's,
right.
Still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm hopefully. I mean, Dionysus. He's a dick. He likes the drama, but maybe hopefully he like was careful about striking the balance.
I mean, it got the job done.
Yeah.
Whatever it did. So it's fine. But like,
Yeah.
just interesting. I wonder if Jeremy would have preferred to give a hand to his domain if he would have thought of it.
Like cut off his hand instead of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that may not be wanted.
Right. I don't know if Dionysus would have cared.
Yeah.
It's also a lot to just be like to just cut off your hand. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But you know what? It's a win for the world to give the domain back.
Well, I don't
potentially.
think that's how it worked.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think it's almost more like he's like, here, it's your domain now, Dionysus. Like,
Yeah.
you do whatever you want with it, and I'll help you.
But is that better that it's like an other, or not necessarily? I don't know. Because Dionysus is going to be there for like a lot longer than Jeremy.
Yeah. I guess not ever, but yeah. I don't know. I still don't fully understand what happens to domains after people die, but it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is. All right. Well, the dream team runs off to face Barbie Hannes.
Woo!
Or Johannes. I mean, I haven't seen the Barbie movie, to be honest, so maybe there's some spoiler in there, or Malia was just being silly.
It's just like Barbenheimer, but
all right.
You've heard of Barbenheimer, right?
Rings a bell, but I can't recall why.
You're not on the internet enough. Okay. Barbenheimer is the idea that you watch Barbie and you watch Oppenheimer in some sort of like double feature.
Oh.
And so I was like, it's Barbatorum and Johannes.
Okay, that's hilarious. Okay. That makes so much more sense. I was like, okay, she just really likes fucking Barbie and like the movie Barbie, and so she just like added on to Johannes' name because of reasons. Okay, that makes more sense.
No, yeah, it's Barbie and Johannes.
But I thought you meant like, I was thinking like the doll and not like Barbatorum.
Oh, no.
I was just like, wow, she just really fucking liked that movie.
It's a good movie.
I haven't seen it and I really want to. Heard it was good.
Yeah, it's good.
I will see it. But anyway, yeah, so that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Evan's up. The dream team is up. Alistair's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna try to do my job. Emily's like, here, draw this sign. It's not that great, but it'll do something, which is fair. She gives them an advantage to their stealth checks. She passes out a trace. And they draw it on their hands in blood, and Evan is running around, and elder sister tries to, she makes them wait a sec so that she can create.
Strategy.
Right. It's like the Red Sea but fire or something. Which
Which
is
is
pretty
pretty cool.
great. And Paige stumbling could be a sign of drunkenness, but also could be a sign of running on like ice and snow.
Yeah.
So but Peter and Ainsley help her, which is adorable, and I'm happy and crying or something. And they're running. And Peter's a dumbass and is yelling. That's another sign that they're drunk.
That's true.
Or just that he's a dumbass.
You know what? They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. But yeah, they're going and it's all hype.
Super, super hype, 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 hype. It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at our pale in comparison section. If you've got anything.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about just how this feels. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say now. Well, I was thinking of, like we're nearing the end of this story, and it really does feel like we're ending nearing the end of Pale. Um, one thing, have you read the most recent chapter of Pale?
I believe so.
Okay. This isn't really a super specific spoiler. It's just like I commented to uh Ruben and Elliot earlier this week that it feels like
Yeah, I did.
it reminds me of Pact in that like so much is happening every chapter. Like Pale has like taken its time more with things, felt more like spaced out, felt more like, we build up to things, we really prepare. And this is very built up too and very
Yeah.
prepared, but it was like the Negateers defeated, Charles like stabbed in the thing, Crucible like third done. Like it feels like we're like bam 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 in a way that reminds me of, the library and then the possession and then the demon lawyers. Like it's just very like lots of shit happening really fast chapter to chapter.
Mhm.
And so that's more of a Pale is reminding me of Pact, but it's fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And then I was thinking of like I guess like picking the dream team sort of reminded me of when they went around to recruit people for the sword moot, I guess. Like I was trying to
Mm.
like pinpoint other specific stuff, but it's really just like the vibes of like stuff is happening in rapid
Mhm.
succession.
All right. I also want to ask you what your bold and specific prediction is.
Yay!
Yay.
It's been a while. I feel like I've said that like Blake and Rose are gonna recombine, sort of. If I haven't, that's one. Let's see, Evan lit on fire, so that's that's done. They're running off to the domain. What things have we heard about Johannes's domain? It's the weird like sunset twilight time. There's vestiges, and like genie and all sorts of intense shit.
Mhm.
I wonder. It seemed like a lot of Johannes's cachet involved deals where others would be able to like hang out and hunt or whatever in his domain in exchange for like sometimes fighting or whatever.
Mhm.
And with the like serpent ladies, whatever they were, it was like, if you give me this information, I'll give you like free passes to come back. And so I'm wondering, like, presumably a lot of those others don't like demons and are now leaving, but maybe there's some sort of like clause, or Barbatorum is able to conscript them into his service. It seems unlikely that this group can fight Barbatorum and a bunch of genies and shit. So I'm really hoping that it's been cleared out,
Mhm.
but that feels less hype.
Sorry, I got distracted myself.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess probably somebody has to die, right? Um, let's see. So I'm pretty sure Ainsley's not gonna die, and I'm pretty sure Peter's not gonna die unless people like ship them past the story in like a sad way to try to comfort their hearts and souls.
Mhm.
Mac's gonna die? That would be really upsetting. Uh Okay. I think Paige is gonna get really, really hurt and maybe die.
Oh man. All right. Really, really hurt and baby die. That says
Yep.
here. All right. Okay, we had our previous discussion question was like so fucking long ago.
Yeah.
And luckily Malia put some answers in there from a
Yeah.
long fucking time ago. It was, what attractions would you want to see in a real world theme park based on the Otherverse, and what would you name it? Captain Rhino said escape rooms, which are non-dangerous versions of paths, like the Forest Ribbon Trail or the Cakewalk. If you win, you get a boon of discount coupons for the souvenir shops or food and drink outlets such as the Overloaded, the place in Toronto Sheridan likes, or the Donut Girl Donut Stand. And a simulator ride where Digital Ray takes you on a virtual tour of the digital ether, ruins, courts, etc. Possible theme park names: Other Versal Studios, so good. The Magical World of Maggie Holt, Practitioner Land, or Solomon's Secret Kingdom.
Ooh, those are all fun.
Those are fun.
Wow. Okay, I want to go there. That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The bee vampire says that an abyssal haunted house could be real fun. If you get the boogeyman to work as actors and have them decorate the place for abyssal scares, visitors can get really impressive high production standard haunted house experiences, to a little too extreme haunted house, and the boogeyman get their fill to of fear to stay out of the abyss. Kind of like Killwagon. So, totally win-win. And they could have fun themed weeks to draw in repeat visitors when they get hotshot boogeymen, like an Escape the Milkmaid's Farm event.
That's
I
clever.
don't know why this isn't already happening. This is brilliant.
Yeah, this is like 100% what they should be doing.
Yep.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
really fucking smart.
This also reminds me of, so I've been listening to a podcast called Podcast The Ride, where they talk about just like all sorts of theme park stuff. And fairly early on in their tenure, they interview a guy who works at Knott's Berry Farm. And it's like a Halloween-ish episode, I guess. They were talking about their Halloween events. So a lot of these theme parks do something called like mazes or houses, like basically like a haunted house. But maybe they're movie themed or something. And I think at Knott's Berry Farm they're called like haunts or something. But this man described putting people through things that sound like it should be illegal. And I could not in any way handle it.
Yeah.
Including things like, having people drink quote unquote urine, which is
What?
like it wasn't urine, but it was like vinegar and apple juice and like various things to make it like, you know, and like, you kind of hint at the person, like, oh, you have to drink urine. They at at one of them they got like a morgue chamber thing and had people put into like guess, like they
What the
put
fuck?
them in the drawers and shut them.
Oh shit.
Then there's one where um they had an actor running around who would kind of like run into and out of rooms at various points, and she was dressed like a guest, and she even had like the sticker or whatever, like a guest would have that said like I paid for this or whatever.
Mhm.
And she was like looking for her boyfriend, quote unquote. She like lost him. And
Yeah.
at one point you'd go into a room and she'd be there, but like in a noose, and like you were supposed, like they were like, you need to kill her or we'll kill you or something.
Shit.
And a lot of people like wouldn't, so they had a safe word. And a lot of people would like, if they made it to this point, would like use it there or just like straight up wouldn't do it. But then,
Uh-huh.
so eventually that would, and then they would all be put in, like, he was like, yeah, and then we put everyone else in a noose and like drop the floor out from under them or something. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So
What?
I will never do this. This is what I heard.
What the fuck?
So that
Okay.
reminds me of that.
Well, All right. That's a thing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm never ever doing that ever.
I don't know that they uh have ones of that flavor anymore. But it sounds, yeah, it sounds unreal. It sounds like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. Sounds
And people had to pay
yeah,
like extra to do that.
it's fucking crazy. All right. Anyway, new discussion question.
Uh
I was thinking if you had to pick some kind of a spirit to like turn you into some kind of thing, whether a fire person or I don't know. What would you choose?
I thought you were gonna ask like what animals would best inhabit various elemental
Oh,
spirits.
maybe that's a better one. I like that.
So pick a very specific animal and tell us what elemental spirit they'd
Let's do
vibe
it.
with.
Sounds good. I like
Um,
it.
One thing is that Australia's been fucking holding out on us. Did you know that marsupials are the cutest things that have ever lived?
I mean, they're pretty cute.
They're so cute. There's so many of them. There's so many of them I've never heard of, right? You know, you got like the kangaroos and the koalas and the Tasmanian devils and the wombats, right?
Yeah.
But like there's so many.
The
I
quokka
think
is
sugar
fucking adorable.
gliders are marsupials. And then
Yeah.
there's like wallabies and there's so many of and they're so cute. Um
All right. That's yeah.
so somebody pick one of those.
Someone pick one of those. And like the name macropod, that just doesn't look like that should be what it's fucking called. But sounds like it should be an insect.
They're so cute.
All right.
Quolls.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave a rating and review. To support our podcast, go to patreon.com/doofmedia. And if you'd like to support Wildbow as he continues to write fantastic stories, go to patreon.com/wildbow.
You can follow the pod on Twitter at Pale Comparison or send us an email at paleincomparisonpod@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for our Reddit thread in r/parahumans where you can answer our discussion question and share your thoughts on this episode. In addition, if you'd like to see all of my predictions laid out, check out our episode description for a link to a prediction tracker. Next episode, we will be covering chapters 16.6 and 16.7.
Going off the rails real quick. Didn't talk to Malia about this, but thought it was important. As y'all know, we are from Maui, and as I'm sure most of you have heard, Maui has been going through quite a awful time with multiple fires going on, and Lahaina basically being burned down entirely, which is very horrifying. So there's tons of people on Maui that are affected who've lost their jobs and their homes and friends and family, and they need a lot of help. So I figured I would just use this opportunity to um, just give a couple of places you could potentially donate that the Maui County website has okayed. One of them is Maui United Way. So it's mauiunitedway.org/disaster relief if you want to try to donate to them, or the Hawaii Community Foundation. So that's hawaiicommunityfoundation.org/Maui-strong.
Yeah, it's been really awful. Our mom's been telling us a lot about how it's been. She didn't live in the area near the fires, but she's been trying to help out and been meeting with some people who've been affected, and it's just like really
Yeah. Well,
awful.
there was a fire on her street that they almost had to evacuate, but luckily they got it under control. But
Yeah, that was like just after. It was weird.
I mean, it definitely had the potential to be a big problem because a couple propane tanks exploded.
Right.
But yeah, they got it under control. So there is another storm coming. Mom told me that today. So it makes me a little bit nervous. Hopefully they'll get rain and not as much wind. But
Right,
anyway.
because we don't, or I don't know exactly how the fires started, but 3 different fires started at various places on the island, as well as fires on the Big Island.
Mhm.
But the problem was that there was a hurricane passing by, and then a low pressure zone or something toward the north, and so the winds were just like
Insane.
really, yeah.
So they
Um,
couldn't send helicopters or anything up to like dump water. It wasn't safe. And they fed into the fires and spread them a lot quicker than they normally would. But if any of you are able to donate, it would be very much appreciated. A lot of people really need help. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox in time to tell you a fact.
Yes.
Unless you had anything else, Malia.
No. I was gonna just remind everyone about the fan art contest.
Yay!
Closure due September 8th.
Thank you.
Also, Scott and Matt are going to Maine and doing a live show in a year. So if that's interesting to you, it sounds
Which it should
super
be
cool and awesome. Go to our Discord, the announcement section. They've left a link so that people can fill out a form so that they can gauge interest. So they know what exactly to plan. But this is the first sort of in-person event I think that Doof has done, and it's really exciting. So if you can make it to Bangor, Maine in June of 2024, let Scott and Matt know, because I'm sure it's going to be really awesome.
That's great. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
All right. This time for this week's fun fact, which I feel like since we were talking about Barbie earlier, this just fits really well. And this is a hilarious fact to me. Okay. So Barbie was actually inspired by a German gag gift. So while Barbie may seem like as American as you can freaking get, she was actually modeled after an R-rated German doll named Lily. So the doll was based on a 1950s comic strip about a high-end call girl that appeared in a German tabloid. Should have asked you how to pronounce this. Bild Zeitung. Zeitung. Okay, thank you. So the Build Lily doll was inspired to be a gag gift for adults, but when Mattel co-founder Ruth Handler saw her, she basically was like, "This is perfect for a child's toy." So, thank you, Germany. That's pretty freaking funny, honestly.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Sort of upsetting, but also great.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and Barbie's great. So, well, I feel like I need to go to bed. So, unless you have anything else, Malia, I bid y'all adieu, and we'll talk to you later. And I'm happy to record again.
Yeah, this has been great. Hopefully we'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.